My name is Amelia Bennett, and I feel like a storm is brewing inside my chest. At 25 years old, I thought I would have more control over my life, especially with a baby on the way. Instead, it feels like I am caught in a whirlpool of family expectations and relentless obligations, pulling me deeper into a sea of anxiety that I can hardly navigate. Each day, as I prepare for the arrival of my child, a wave of joy washes over me, but it is flickeringly overshadowed by the suffocating weight pressing down on my chest, reminding me that liberation seems unreachable. Summer days in Ridgewood have always had a warmth to them, but the sunshine feels overshadowed when I think about my cousin Michael. We had been close once back when childhood was an innocent adventure, filled with laughter, popcorn-drizzled movie nights, and secrets shared under the stars. I remember those escapades as moments when I was free to be a kid, free to be me. But now our past feels like chains, dragging me unwillingly into a present I dread. Today, as I lie on the couch, the sunlight streaming through the wide living room window, the bright rays feel almost taunting. My phone buzzes next to me, and I know without looking it will be another message from him. 5 times this week alone, he has invited me to join him for yet another movie. Hey, just got tickets for that new film with the big budget. Let's go. The messages chirp so cheerfully that they make my heart flutter uneasily. Although I long for the words to say no, the deep-rooted teachings of family loyalty echo in my mind, reminding me of how vital it is to stay connected. With an aching heart, I picture my husband, Dave, bustling in the kitchen, preparing us dinner. His presence usually calms me, but lately I've noticed a spark of concern in his eyes as he watches me flinch at the buzz of my phone. Amelia, you look anxious again. Is it Michael? He asks, his voice gently probing. I sigh, feeling heat rise in my cheeks. I don't understand why he suddenly wants to be around me all the time, I confess, biting my lip as I stare at the little kicks in my belly. I thought being pregnant would give me a break, but he seems to think this is the perfect time to cling even more. Dave nods, stirring the pot of pasta, but I can see the tension in his jaw. Maybe you should tell him you need space. You have every right to enjoy this time. It's your pregnancy. Focus on your happiness. His voice is soothing, but fear creeps over me like a cold morning fog. The thought of pushing back against my family, against the loyalty they've instilled in me, terrifies me. What if they all turn against me? What if he tells everyone I am being selfish? I reply, a somber weight settling in my stomach. I can't even picture the conversations after that, Dave. As we prepare for the family gathering for Labor Day, I remind myself that I have to keep smiling through the storm brewing inside of me. The reunion promises to be a mixed bag of joy and dread. I put on a simple light blue dress that hugs my growing belly, remembering the way my relatives would compliment me on my radiant glow. But I feel anything but brilliant. I think of Michael, who thrives in the chaotic atmosphere of our family gatherings, sinking his claws deeper into conversations, asserting his presence like he owns the space. See you at the barbecue, he texted with what seemed like excessive enthusiasm. The exclamation mark felt heavier than usual, an anticipation that I would inevitably have to indulge him again. As the day unfolds, I find myself surrounded by the familiar faces of family. There's laughter intermingling with the smell of burgers sizzling on the grill, but I can barely focus. Look at you, Amelia, my mother gushes, beaming at me with a warmth I'm supposed to find comforting but only feels stifling. You're going to be such a wonderful mother, just like I was. Her praise comes with a weight, and I can feel the pressure to excel crushing down. Michael stands slightly behind her, an eager smile plastered across his face, his presence looming like an unwanted shadow. Why don't we go catch that new flick after this? He suggests, his voice full of excitement as he pops a peanut into his mouth. My heart sinks. Michael, I start, but my voice fades. All the laughter reverberates around us. My family chuckles at some inside joke while Michael seems to grow larger, assuming he is the center of everyone's attention. Amelia is pregnant. She needs to relax. My sister shoots back cheerfully, oblivious to my discomfort. I can feel my mother's gaze shift, her eyes darting back between the two of us like a referee watching a heated match. But I have been going to the movies alone. It is great fun. There is something about them that helps me unwind, Michael grins, leaning forward as if handing me the responsibility of confirmation. I can feel the biting tension settle in my chest as I grapples with silent indignation. I really don't know, Michael. I think I need a break for myself, I manage to murmur, my voice barely rising above the background noise, but he takes it as a challenge. Why, you think you're too good to spend time with family now? You've always enjoyed the movies. His words hang there, thick and heavy, smothering me. I should have guessed he wouldn't let me go gently. A gust of laughter erupts from the crowd, and I feel even smaller, invisible in my stress. Each shake and chuckle that rises makes me shrink under my family's warm gaze. Amelia, don't be ridiculous, my mother interjects, still glowing with pride. You should cherish moments like these. Family is what matters. The chains tight as they continue to dismiss my discomfort. Even from the sidelines, Michael's grin seems to grow as he basks in the approval of everyone around me. As the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the yard, I attempt to retreat, signaling the need for a break. Still, Michael approaches harder than before. I can feel my heart thudding in my chest now, making this anxiety feel real and pressing. Let's just have some fun, yeah, he pushes, using that old nickname he always called me as if to make the command more appealing. Fun, remember our childhood, he adds, but the words sound sour on my ears like a fading melody. Hey, can I talk to you for a sec? Comes a sudden voice from behind me. Relief washes over me, but when I see who it is, my friend Sarah, another wave of tension crashes over me as Michael's eyes flash with irritation. He knows I am about to escape. Just for a moment, please, I urge, hardly able to mask the desperation in my voice. It's as if I am begging for a moment of air, like someone struggling at sea, reaching out for a surfboard. I take a deep breath and pull Sarah aside from the gathering crowd. I'm so glad you are here, I whisper urgently, clutching her hands. You have no idea how suffocated I feel. Michael just won't relent, and my family, my voice trails off, frustration blending with fear as the reality of my situation thrums through my mind. Amelia, you need to set boundaries. This is your time. Sarah responds confidently, her words laced with encouragement. You are about to be a mom. This is when you should be happy, and if you need to tell him off, then do it. Her voice sparks something deep within me, a kind of fierce determination I hadn't felt in a long time, and then the unthinkable happens. Without warning, the door swings open. Hey, love, Michael's voice boomed from behind us. You ready to go? My stomach turns at the thought of being publicly cornered like a deer caught in headlights. I feel panic rise in me, pushing against the very walls I had tried to construct around my emotions. No, I think I am done, I blurt out before I can think it over. It feels liberating to hear those words spill from my lips, powerful enough to slice through the tension that had held me captive. I really just need some space. He looks taken aback, glancing at me and then at Sarah. What's wrong? His voice is laced with an incredulous sincerity that only strengthens my resolve. You were just fine before. I was trying to be fine. I shoot back, my heart racing. You don't understand what it's like carrying this burden, Michael. I am not just Amelia now. I am a future mother trying to navigate this jungle of expectations, and you are stomping all over me. The words tumble out, raw and desperate, painting my struggles more vividly than I ever intended. The moment feels electric, thick with the weight of every repressed emotion. Just stop. I shout louder than I meant, and the surrounding conversations dwindle. Every head turns, and my family watches, wide-eyed and messy with confusion. I feel exposed, as if I am standing in front of everyone wearing nothing but my skin, vulnerable and wide open. Michael opens his mouth, and I brace myself for his rebuttal. You're being dramatic, he replies, trying to laugh off my outburst. But something has snapped inside me. I feel the storm in my chest begin to settle, as if I have finally found my voice. Dramatic or not, I mean it. Can't you see that? I wave my hands in frustration as thoughts swirl. You may think this is fun or just what family does, but I need more than that. You have a right to your own life and your own friends, so why can't I? The words ignite a fire inside me, and I am becoming someone I have never been before. For the first time, I catch a glimpse of confusion in his eyes. My family stares. My heart races and sweat prickles my skin, but I hold my ground, ready to defend the woman I have become in this moment. Maybe this was the beginning of something new, a different chapter where my own voice finally takes precedence. The only drama here is the way you have been treating me, and I am no longer going to accept it. With that, I turn to Sarah and nod for her to follow me inside, leaving behind the bewilderment of a family gathering that was being torn apart in the rustling breeze of chaos. It felt both terrifying and exhilarating. I glance back once at Michael, ready for the fallout. As the door swings closed behind us, the safety of being inside envelops me, and although a force still grips my heart, I realize that I might be breaking free not just from Michael, but from the expectations binding me in place. The weight might still lie ahead, but the storm has shifted, and for the first time in years, I feel like I am finally deciding what it looks like to be free. Just like that, with one bold step, the spark ignited into a blazing fire, and I see now that it is time to face the weight of expectations head-on. In the moments following my realization, I gathered Sarah in a quiet corner of the living room, far from prying ears. The soft glow of the lamps cast a warm light around us, illuminating the determined set of her jaw and the anxious fluttering of my heart. I could still hear the faint sound of laughter and chatter from the other guests in the house, muffled by the walls that had suddenly felt like a sanctuary and a cage all at once. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my frustrations swell like a tide ready to crash against a rocky shore. My voice trembled as I outlined my fears, spilling out my worries like a dam bursting. He just doesn't stop, Sarah. It's like he doesn't see me as an adult with my own life. Every time I turn around, it's another invitation, another demand. I feel suffocated. The sincerity in her eyes made my heart race. I can't even remember the last time I did something for myself. It's always about him and his needs. I'm terrified that if I push back, it will destroy our relationship, but if I don't, I'll lose myself completely. I glance down at my hands, suddenly feeling small and vulnerable, overwhelmed by the thought of the confrontation that awaited me. Amelia, listen. You have every right to set boundaries, Sarah said, her voice steady and sure. We need to figure out a way for you to stand up to him, not out of spite, but as a declaration of who you are and what you want. This is about taking your life back." Her words wrapped around me like a comforting embrace, and for the first time, I began to feel the embers of courage igniting in my chest. As the two of us hatched our plan, the reality of what I was considering burrowed deeper within me, taking root like a stubborn weed in hardened soil. What if he reacts poorly? What if he doesn't take it seriously? The fears bubbled to the surface, trying to drag me back into the shadows of doubt where I had always felt so safe, so small. "Then that's on him," Sarah replied, resolute. "You deserve to have your voice heard. You deserve to be free." Her conviction hit me like a rush of cold water, reviving every hair on my body and filling me with determination. We began plotting a story, a delicate yet powerful framework that would serve as my lifeline out of this mess, the job opportunity that would require my husband and me to move out of state. "It shakes everything up," I said, "but it also gives me an exit, and it gives him something to lose." As I shared the details, I started to envision the scene, to see it play out in front of me. Sarah's nodding, encouraging me to build the narrative more spectacularly, to add in why it was such a tremendous opportunity, all while emphasizing how it was necessary for my family's well-being. With every layer we added, I began to feel empowered, reclaiming a part of myself that I didn't realize had been lost. "What do you think?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with hope. "You don't have to walk on eggshells anymore. This could be a fresh start for you." "Yeah," I breathed, a smile creeping in, a fresh start. It was a concept that sparkled with possibility, drawing me like a moth to a flame. The night felt heavy, pregnant with anticipation. I could feel the weight of it in my bones, a joy mingling with the anxiety that had taken up permanent residence within me. I practiced the betrayal of my intentions in whispers, pacing in circles and repeating the words until they felt like a song on the tip of my tongue. "Michael, we are moving." Each time I uttered them, the more fortified I became, the more conviction seeped into my veins. I envisioned him receiving this news, his already well-worn expression of excitement contorting into something far less inviting, tainted with confusion and urgency. As I walked into the living room, the soft hum of the movie playing gripped me, clinging to me like a heavy blanket. Michael was leaning back on the armrest of the couch, a huge grin plastered across his face, completely oblivious to the storm brewing beneath my calm exterior. I took another steadying breath and psyched myself out. This was it, no turning back now. "Hey, can we talk?" I asked, my voice barely rising above a whisper as I felt the adrenaline surging through my veins. My heart drummed in my chest as his smile faltered, a shadow crossing his features at the seriousness in my tone. "Sure, what's up?" He leaned forward, an eagerness sparking in his eyes that made my stomach twist. Every second felt like a massive weight on my shoulders, burdening me with both dread and exhilaration as I realized that finally I was taking control. "I need to tell you something important." I paused, hoping against hope that my voice wouldn't crack under the pressure of uncertainty. "We are going to be relocating soon. My husband got a new job, and it's a fantastic opportunity that requires us to move out of state." The room fell silent, the sound of the movie fading into oblivion as shock morphed across his face, his earlier excitement replaced by something darker, panic. His eyes widened slightly, searching me for signs of deceit. "Wait, what? Relocating? When? You're not serious, right?" As he bombarded me with a rapid-fire barrage of questions, my resolve only grew stronger. "I am serious, we're leaving soon. I really need to focus on my family. With everything that has been going on, I simply can't continue to indulge in your endless invitations and demands. It's taking a toll on me, and I need space." His reaction was immediate and visceral, the shock morphing into disbelief and then quickly into a defensive posture. "What do you mean my invitations? It's just hanging out. We are family." "I don't understand why you are being so drastic about this. Michael, it's always about you, always about what you want, what makes you comfortable. I'm not happy like this, and it's not working for me anymore." My voice faltered, yet I pressed on. I didn't yield, I couldn't yield. He rose slightly from his seat, leaning forward with his eyes glistening with desperation. "But you've always loved hanging out. You can't be serious about leaving without discussing it more. We can fix this. We can talk it out. You don't really want to cut ties, do you?" The guilt twisted at my insides, a familiar old friend gnawing at me as Michael's pleas attempted to claw their way back into my heart. "But this isn't just about hanging out, is it?" I shot back, narrowing my eyes as clarity washed over me like a tidal wave. "It's about how often I find myself acquiescing to your whims while neglecting my needs. We've ignored my choices for too long. I'm standing up for myself now." With each word, the weight of familial obligation began to lift. I could feel Michael's panicked energy reflected in the air around us, a tension building like a storm on the horizon. "You don't have to do this," he pleaded, his voice low and trembling. "I care about you. I can change. Maybe that's the problem," I said with a calmness that caught me off guard. "You need to realize that my happiness is my responsibility, not yours. I am not leaving you behind. I am simply taking this step for myself." The tension coiled tightly between us, a palpable force as Michael grappled with my unwavering tone. I had never seen him look so small, the vulnerability in his expression somehow frightening and heart-wrenching at the same time. I won't let you go so easily, Amelia. You can't really be serious about cutting yourself off from me. I need you. I need me too. The finality in my voice rang out like a chime, echoing the truth that had been buried for far too long. Each word settled around us, thickening the air to a suffocating degree. There was an air of finality in that moment, a turning point that not only fractured the fabric of our relationship, but demanded recognition, a demand for my existence to be seen and honored. As I turned away from that moment, a rush of euphoric liberation surged through me. An unseen weight had lifted, allowing me to finally breathe, the air crisp and electric like the moment before a storm breaks. I knew there would be backlash, consequences that I would have to face, but that was no longer my burden to carry. I had spoken my truth, and while I braced myself for the fallout, for the change that was sure to follow, I also felt invigorated. I was no longer chained to someone else's needs. I felt lighter, freer, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. I kept my gaze locked on Michael, the center of that swirling familial storm, as I felt the ground beneath my feet shift. The warmth of the summer evening hung thick in the air, mingling with the delicious scent of grilled burgers and the sweet aroma of freshly cut watermelon. The bright hues of the decorations floated around me, a stark contrast to the turmoil roiling within. My heart raced, each beat syncing with the dull hum of laughter that surrounded us, but in that moment my focus was singular. I could feel the chill of the air around us, charged with tension as his eyes darted, searching for answers in my expression. "Amelia, what's this about?" he asked, that cocky grin faltering. His smile, once comforting, now felt like a mask, a facade that he wore for the world while hiding the truth beneath. I could feel the weight of every family member's gaze boring into our conversation, some filled with curiosity, others laced with concern. They had always defended him, rationalizing every erratic behavior as merely quirks. "Come on, don't be so serious." "You know, I was just joking about the movie. Joking or not, we need to talk," I said, my voice firm despite the quiver of my insides. Michael's friends exchanged puzzled glances, and I could see the gears turning in their heads, processing the conflict unfolding before them. "Why now? Why here?" His tone edged toward defensiveness, and I couldn't help but wonder if he anticipated this moment or if my resolve was truly a surprise for him. I squared my shoulders, feeling a rush of adrenaline surge through me, steeling myself against the fear that lurked in the corners of my mind. "Because I can't keep pretending that everything is okay," I replied, refusing to back down. My heart hammered against my ribcage, each pulse pushing the next wave of determination through me. "You've been a part of my life in ways that have suffocated me. I let you take control, but those days are over. Surely you cannot believe that." His gaze narrowed, a flicker of anger igniting behind his eyes. "What do you want me to do? Just disappear? Leave you alone?" He laughed bitterly, a sound that grated on my nerves. It was infuriating how he twisted reality to fit his narrative, how he playfully attempted to turn my justified anger into a dramatic display like a performer seeking the spotlight. "That's exactly what I want," I shot back, my words slicing through the air like a knife. I could almost taste the triumph that came with standing my ground. "I want to live my life without feeling obligated to you, without feeling like your shadow. It's draining. I don't want to feel guilty for wanting to create memories that you're not part of." My throat tightened as the words tumbled out, the relief of speaking them despite their heaviness almost intoxicating. Around us, the laughter gradually dwindled, faces turning to us as family members strained to hear our exchange. I knew they could feel the tension, the pull of the atmosphere thickening like fog rolling in. I could see my mother, her expression shifting from surprise to concern as if she were trying to grasp the gravity of the situation. I felt her stare like the weight of 100 judgmental gazes. A part of me longed to feel her approval, but not at the cost of my self-respect. "Come on, this is family," Michael said earnestly, the desperation creeping into his tone. "What is family without a little togetherness?" He gestured toward the gathering, emphasizing the laughter echoing around us as if it could change the truth of our dynamic. "You know I'm always here for you, Amelia." He stepped closer, an illusion of sincerity dancing in his eyes, and I felt the instinctive urge to recoil, that old, familiar wariness rising in my chest. "No, what you consider togetherness is an emotional chokehold," I exclaimed, frustration building in my chest. "You convince people that it's okay to ignore all the little ways you manipulate the bonds we share. It's not normal. I don't want to participate in this family masquerade anymore." I wanted my voice to stay strong, to reverberate with my newfound strength and purpose. The silence dragged out as I met Michael's gaze with unwavering intensity, daring him to refute me. My breath came in sporadic bursts as I felt the bubbling adrenaline settle, turning anxious energy into clarity. After what felt like an eternity, the confusion in his expression deepened, and he opened his mouth to respond, but no words emerged. It was as if he had lost the script he had rehearsed so meticulously. "How can you say that?" His voice softened, betraying the facade he had worn until now. "After everything we've been through, you're going to throw it away for something you think you want." The hurt in his voice pierced through the righteous anger that swelled within me, and for a brief moment, a flicker of guilt ignited deep in my heart. Thoughts flashed through my mind, memories of shared laughter, late night confessions, moments that felt genuine, but they quickly dissipated, overshadowed by the painful truths I could no longer ignore. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm simply claiming something that has always been mine, my freedom. The resolve in my voice surprised even me. I understood now I wasn't just stepping away from him, I was breaking free from the chains of expectation. I spent too long trying to maintain harmony at the expense of my happiness. He opened his mouth again, preparing to launch another rebuttal when one of his friends, a slightly nervous guy with messy hair and a baseball cap, piped up. Maybe we should, change the subject. This feels kinda awkward. His voice cracked slightly, and I could see the discomfort spreading through the crowd like ripples on a pond. No, no more distractions, I insisted, pulling every ounce of strength I had within me. This situation deserves clarity, and I think it's high time I get the final word. Wild glances flickered around me, each face revealing a mixture of anxiety and intrigue, as if they thought a spectacle was about to unfold. I waited, searching for a glimmer of vulnerability in Michael's eyes, hoping to break through the facade he had created around himself. Amelia, he finally said in a voice stripped of bravado, the mask slipping. You can't expect everyone else to fall in line with your decision. This affects them too. He gestured helplessly toward our relatives beneath the fairy lights that twinkled around the patio, subtly reminding me of the bonds not just between us but within our families. I'm not asking them to fall in line. I am simply doing what is best for me, for my family. My voice cracked, the weight of truth tinged with the pressure of vulnerability. And if that means upsetting some people, then so be it. As I steadied myself against the edge of the patio railing, the rough wood pressed hard against my palms, grounding me, reminding me that I was real, that my feelings mattered. You do realize you're disrupting all this, don't you? He hissed, glancing around as the laughter creeped back into the distance, unsure if it should surround us again. You think you can just go away into the sunset, leaving everyone else to pick up the pieces? It didn't even faze me to hear him say it. I had long grown accustomed to the way he shifted blame, but this time the power swung towards me. Why do you always act as if you're the victim? I challenged, feeling the surge of adrenaline turn into warmth surrounding my resolve. I'm the one who has felt trapped for too long in this toxic dynamic. You've pulled the strings, and I am done playing your game. He flinched at my words, the truth casting a shadow over the bravado he usually wielded. I caught the shifting expressions on my family's faces, and despite the nervousness, the tension thickened with a sense of liberation that radiated from me. I added, it's time I take responsibility for my life and stop letting you dictate my happiness. As I spoke, the moment felt monumental, as if I were tearing down an invisible wall that had trapped me in this relationship for years. Every word was a brick removed from the edifice of our past, an opening to the sunlight I had been craving. Dave stood beside me, steadfast and supportive, allowing the silence to take root as I endured my own unburdening. I knew he understood just how heavy the words I spoke were, and I saw the glimmer of pride in his eyes, reaffirming that I was indeed making the right choice. Amelia, don't you think you're being a little dramatic? Michael scoffed, desperately trying to regain some sense of control over the conversation. A little family time shouldn't ruin your life. We've had our ups and downs, sure, but it's not something we can't work through. You're right, it is. I held my breath for a moment, flicking my eyes to Dave before returning them to Michael. But I don't want to work through it. This isn't about working things out. This is about my freedom, my peace. The clarity flooded through me like a refreshing breeze, cooling the fire of self-doubt that had burned for so long. In that space of vulnerability, I saw Michael's facade crumbling. All the bravado drained from his body, leaving a gaunt figure who was no longer able to wield the manipulative charm that had once entranced so many. You hate me, don't you? He whispered, the tugging at my heartstrings beginning to swell, but I held my response back. Instead, I let my body relax into the decision I knew I would never regret. I don't hate you, I responded, softer but resolute. I simply can no longer allow your choices to dictate my happiness. I'm choosing to step away, Michael. It's what I have to do for myself. I wish you well, but this chapter in our lives is closed. The sound of my heart thrumming in my ears faded into the background, replaced by the quiet reverberation of my convictions echoing around the patio. Words echoed in my mind, affirming the liberation that came at that moment, the breath of fresh air I had been waiting for wrapped tightly now in my resolve. And then, standing there with Dave by my side, in that moment of reckoning, I could feel the tension dissolve and a flicker of hope for a new beginning settle deep within me. I would reclaim my life, my happiness, and the courage to break free. As the quiet applause of understanding swelled from a few family members standing at the edges, I could feel a yearning to continue this journey of self-discovery, unwrapping myself from the tangled web that Michael had spun around our relationship. Invisible chains snapped, and a new chapter beckoned me forward into the light of my future. Free and alive as the echoes of my confrontation with Michael rippled through the air, I felt a strange sensation wash over me. It was exhilarating and terrifying, like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into the vast unknown below. The silence that hung in the room was heavy, almost oppressive, filled with the tension of family dynamics fraying at the seams, yet it felt liberating to me. The eyes of my family bored into me, sharp and penetrating, with expressions of disbelief, concern, and was that admiration. I could sense the unspoken questions swirling around the room like a frantic wind, ready to sweep away my newfound conviction if I wavered even slightly. But I held my ground, rooted firmly in the belief that I had finally claimed my rightful place in my own life. My heart raced, but it wasn't the fear that had plagued me in the past. No, this was different. This felt like a spark igniting within my chest, a flame of courage that had been smothered for too long. I had stood up to Michael, a man who had always believed he could dictate the terms of my existence. The way his face twisted from disbelief to indignation was almost poetic, his carefully crafted mask of security slipping off, leaving only raw vulnerability exposed. I had expected an explosion of anger, a storm that would wreak havoc on this fragile gathering, but I was met instead with a profound silence that enveloped us all. The family members shifted uncertainly, their eyes darting between Michael and me as if they were watching a tennis match, waiting to see who would break first. I stole a glance back at my husband. Dave's hand found mine, squeezing gently, a silent reminder that I was not alone in this battle. The warmth of his touch grounded me, filling in the cracks that my confrontation had nearly exposed. My heart swelled with reassurance, an affirmation that I had made this choice not just for myself but for the life we were planning to build together, one that included a child. Michael finally cleared his throat, pulling my attention back to him. "You think you can just dismiss our history just like that?" he managed to say, his voice trembling as if the words were painful to let go. There was an edge of anger in his tone, but underneath I detected fear, the kind of fear that comes from losing control over someone you thought you owned. "I did not dismiss it, Michael," I replied, my voice steadier than I thought possible. "I am acknowledging it, and I am moving on. You owe me, Amelia." The words dripped from his mouth, a familiar refrain that had been our emotional anchor for years, threatening to pull me back into the murky waters of obligation and guilt. But in that moment, I vowed to fight against that noose, to break free from the emotional chains he had forged. "Michael, you are not my keeper. My life does not revolve around your needs anymore. I need to focus on my family and my happiness," I declared, feeling the words surge forth like a tide. "This is the last time I am going to permit you to manipulate me into feeling obligated to you." With those last words, I felt empowered, standing tall, a warrior in my own right, preparing for whatever response might come next. The world around us seemed to still. Even the ambient sounds of the gathering faded into a muted background buzz. All eyes were glued to our exchange, the energy in the room electric, as if everyone held their breath, waiting for Michael's reaction. In that moment of silence, it was as if I could hear my heart pounding, each beat echoing strength and determination. I could almost visualize the threads of deceit and emotional control that had bound me for so long unraveling and falling away like autumn leaves. Michael's expression morphed, his mouth opening and closing as if he fought to find the right words, but nothing coherent emerged. How strange it was to witness him rendered speechless, a man who had always wielded his power so confidently. I could feel the familiar stir of guilt trying to tug at my gut, but I quickly brushed it aside. Instead, a warm glow of empowerment filled the void, pulsing through my veins like wildfire. The realization dawned on me that I was finally breaking free from the invisible binds that had silenced me for so long. As I turned away from Michael, I could almost hear the collective inhalation of the family members surrounding us, the air thick with confusion and disbelief. But I did not let it weigh me down. Instead, I felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I walked past faces that reflected a variety of emotions: confusion, disappointment, maybe even a hint of pride, and I embraced that freedom. I could envision a future unshackled from the chains of guilt and familial obligation, a future vibrant with possibility. Dave's warmth drew me back as I returned to him, burying my face in his chest. His embrace enveloped me, washing away the lingering tendrils of fear. I could feel his heart beating steadily, a comforting rhythm amidst the chaos. "You were amazing," he murmured, his breath warm against my hair. "I am so proud of you." I looked up at him, my heart swelling with love. "I finally feel like I can breathe, like I am reclaiming my life," I confessed, my voice thick with emotion. "I don't want to be a hostage to my family's expectations anymore. Our future together matters so much more to me." "I completely understand," he said, nodding his head, "and we will face whatever comes next together just like this." "You are not alone in this." As I glanced back toward my family, I caught sight of my mother's expression, a blend of confusion and concern plastered across her face. I could feel the flicker of disappointment in her eyes, as if she couldn't quite wrap her head around my transformation. But emboldened by my earlier confrontation, I turned my focus back to Dave and the warmth radiating from him. I realized that my choices now encompassed us, molding our lives together, moving forward, like an artist meticulously crafting a masterpiece. The familiar atmosphere of family turmoil began to shift as I severed the unhealthy ties that had bound me for so long. I envisioned new pathways emerging from the ashes of the past, pathways filled with love, understanding, and a sense of belonging that had been absent from my life for years. I was stepping away from toxic expectations, and in doing so, I was forging deeper connections with the people who truly mattered. The image of our future together grew clearer in my mind, painted in vivid colors. As the shadows of evening began to creep through the garden, casting long silhouettes against the setting sun, I felt a newfound sense of clarity envelop me. The horizon was painted in brilliant oranges and purples, symbolizing the endless possibilities a fresh start could offer. I understood that liberation often takes the form of the hardest battles, the ones we fight not just for ourselves, but for what we hold dearest. My family may never fully accept the radical change that had taken place, but I stood resolute in my truth, cherishing the sanctuary of my home, my body, and my spirit. I had transformed my pain into a fierce resolve, a hard-won victory that felt precious and sacred. I finally knew that I was the author of my own story, rich with possibility, as potent and beautiful as the child growing within me. And in that moment, standing next to my husband beneath the vibrant sunset, I felt alive, liberated, and boundless. There would be challenges ahead, I knew that much. But I was ready, equipped with the armor of self-acceptance and love, prepared to carve my own path forward, no longer a hostage to anyone's expectations, but fully embracing the life I was meant to live.